Hello and welcome. In this video, I want to take a look at the recent native SVG support that got added to Webstudio in the past few weeks. And I think this is a really cool feature, especially for SVG vector artists who've been looking for a way to add programmability and interactivity to their visuals and in websites. So we'll just be making this nice looking simple landing page type thing. And I have here my SVG drawing. It has two passive animations. There's the stroke that's going around the image, and then there's the blinking of the eyes. And then you can add things like this. When you hover, it changes the color of the background. If I hover on this icon, it changes the color of the background. If I hover on the shirt, on his outfit, it changes the color of the outfit. So we'll just start by looking in Inkscape and seeing some of the things I'm doing to the drawing to kind of set myself up for success when I bring over this image into Webstudio. So inside Inkscape, I've just tried as best as possible to make the image look as appealing as I can make it, so that does a lot of the visual heavy lifting. And then some other things I'm doing here is, so if I zoom in, you'll see these layers of shadows are just two different objects overlaid on top of each other. And they have a black color with a transparency of about 40%, so that wherever these two objects overlap, you can kind of see through them. And where two of them with that kind of transparency overlap, that part kind of becomes darker. So I'm just using these two objects to create that illusion of depth and detail. So a really cool thing that this also enables me to do is, so for his body, you'll see I have several objects overlaying each other. There's this detailed pattern, and then there's the two layers of shadows. And then underneath I have a single object, but this one doesn't have any transparency. It has a transparency of 100 in the alpha channel. So what I can do with this is, with all of these overlaid on top of each other, if I select the single object at the bottom, whatever color I give this, so let's say I put something like that, whatever color I give this layer underneath, because of the transparency and the stacking of the shadows, it translates. That color translates. So I can animate this singular object, the color of this singular object, and that kind of just translates across all the other layers. So I think that's just a neat trick that helps maintain the simplicity, so that I can just focus on animating the singular thing, and while keeping the rest of the design coherent. Something else I have in the SVG file here is there's this layer with the stroke that's going around. You can just see that. And here I have, under the stroke style, I'm taking note of this. So you have this pattern of 8212. So that's 8 pixels of here, and then a gap of 2, and then another pixel, 1, and then a gap of 2. And then that pattern starts to repeat again. So here I'm just counting this to a total of 13, which tells me from about here to where the pattern repeats is 13. I don't know if the unit is pixels, but I'll just say pixels. So that if I offset these dashes by 13 pixels, the pattern will begin to loop again. So how I'm using this, if I just come here into the XML of this animated stroke, if I drop this down, here's the animate tag that I'm using. So I'm animating the offset, the stroke dash offset, from 0 to 13 for a duration of 3 seconds. And then this is repeating indefinitely. So how this looks in a code editor, here's where I have it. So what we were looking at is this here. I'm animating the stroke dash offset attribute from 0 to 13 for a duration of 3 seconds and repeating this indefinitely. So that creates this smooth, slow moving, kind of like ants on this stroke. If I wanted this to be faster, I'd maybe just set this to 1, save this, reload this, and you'll see it's moving a lot faster. So all it's doing, it's just offsetting the one section by 13 pixels over a duration of a second, and then it's repeating this indefinitely. And then that kind of just seamlessly creates this kind of matching ants effect, which I really like. The other thing I'm doing is creating this blinking animation, and this one is being created by this snippet of code right here. So here I'm animating. I have the 3 paths in Inkscape. I have this group of closed eyes, and it has 3 paths inside it. If I set this to visible, the eyes are closed. If I make them invisible, the eyes are open. So all I want to do is toggle the visibility of this group, and that is essentially what this little snippet of code is enabling me to do. So I'm animating the display from none to inline. So here there's a trick I'm kind of doing. So if I maybe just simplify this first and then reload that page. So what it's doing, it's for the attribute display, it is toggling between the values of none and then inline and then none. And then it's fitting this inside a duration of 2 seconds. So a little trick that I wanted to do, because right now when I look at this animation, it's kind of mechanical and static. I wanted to make it look like he blinks twice to kind of add some, I think it just adds something, some life to the character. And this is probably not the advised way to do it, but what I just did was copy this. Since here it's toggling between none and inline and none in this kind of sequential and mechanical pattern, I just copied the none, this right here, and then I'll paste, something like that. And then here I will copy this inline and then paste it there so that it's none, 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 and then it's visible, not visible, visible, not visible, and then loops. So if I save this and reload, see that. I think that looks, just add something. So that's what I did to just draw my SVG in Inkscape and then add some passive animation, and then we can now take this and bring it into Webstudio to see the kind of just a simple interactivity that we can add to it. So to do that, with this code that I have, I'll just copy, and then I will take this and bring it into my Webstudio. So this is currently what I have in Webstudio. So I'll just come here, drop this down, and then I'll delete this, what I have before, and then just drop in my SVG. And as you can see, the SVG is brought in with all of the animations that I had set up, just nicely integrated. I'll maybe reduce the maximum width of this to something like that. And there we have our SVG inside Webstudio. So I want to change the color of the background when I hover on it, the color of this badge when I hover on it, and the color of his outfit when I hover on it. And then we'll call it a day. So I'll come here, and if I just drop down, you'll see that all of our objects are directly accessible inside Webstudio, which I think is really, really cool. So I'll select the background. And if I scroll down here, you have access to the fill color. So I'll just click here and say hover. And when I hover, let's make this something like white. Yeah, let's do Let's do white. Like that. So that now if I hover, it turns to white, then back. White, back. Let's do the same to his outfit. Set this to hover. Set this to this green. Then back, then hover. So right now it's the color changes pretty instantaneously, so we can smoothen that. Let me just add this. Hover. This to something like that. So that changes color, the background changes color, and his outfit changes color. So to smoothen this, I'll just start with the outfit and then come here under transitions, create a transition, target the fill, set this to say around 500. And with that done, if I hover on the outfit, you'll see that it's kind of smoother. So let's do the same for the background. I'll come here, transitions, fill, 500, and just like that. And you can go and do the same for the badge at the top left. So I think that's it. That's it from me for this video. I just think the SVG, the native SVG support for Webstudio is really, really cool. And I know while SVG is usually used for things like icons, I think there's just some room to play with this capability that Webstudio now supports. And if you're an artist that's been looking to add programmability and interactivity to your SVGs, this is an avenue you could explore. I think is just really cool. So that's it from me for this video. Let me know if you liked it. Let me know if you want to see more of this type of videos. And I'll see you in the next one. If you've made it this far, you like this video and you'd like to support what I do, I have made available the 6 SVG files on Gumroad, so you can jump there and grab this, or you can just, I've also shared the link to this project file in Webstudio, which you can just jump in and dissect the project file and see what else you could do with something like this.